If you're toying with the idea of making Jacksonville your home, hold on one second. There's a proper way to map out this journey to the new city, and after countless conversations with folks just like you, eager to call Jacksonville home, we've got this process down pat. We're experts at helping people plan out their move, relocate, and then seal the deal here in Jacksonville. Now, everyone's path is going to be completely different, but there's some basic rules that you guys need to follow to help you save time and to help you reach a decision much faster of whether Duval County is for you, which leads us to step one. Research. Now, you can hit up Google. You can search Facebook pages for advice. You could call your mama, your sister, your brother. But what we found is if you can go through our videos, and we've laid out a lot of information about moving to Jacksonville, and you don't have to worry about a real estate agent calling you, trying to get you a sales pitch. This is where research begins. So whether you are sitting in the house, laying on the couch at night, or you're trying to burn up some time at work, like that's what a lot of us do, you can check out the areas, what's good, what's bad, what's ugly about Jacksonville, and kind of weigh the pros and cons and find out what areas may work for you without the hassle of 100 phone calls from an agent trying to get you to buy right now. You can engage with information right from our playlist. Step two, make a list of what you desire in a home. Now, ultimately going through this research phase, this is what's going to lead to making that list of what you desire. Now, this is your chance to dream a little bit. And what I tell people is break it down into three parts. What do you desire in a community? I'm talking about amenities. I'm talking about accessibility. I'm talking about schools, if you really have those little ones that are still in the house. Two, what do you desire in an area? Do you have to be in the hustle and bustle of Jacksonville, Florida, or do you want to live on the outskirts with a little country lifestyle with a little bigger lot? Number three, what do you desire in a home? I'm talking about square footage. I'm talking about bedrooms, bathrooms. Women, do you need her in her closet, meaning it's big, but you're not going to share it with your husband? This is your time to write those things down. And for new home buyers, right? First time ever buying a property, I ask you to do the same thing, but I do say this. Don't watch HGTV. Don't try to find everything that you want on an HGTV home and try to put it into your first home. It's going to frustrate both you and us. And with saying all of that, I want you to know that there's no right or wrong way of actually creating this list. But what I would say is I recommend that you break these down by importance. Reason being is we talk to so many customers, and the reality is they may believe the beach is something that they want or desire, and everybody's moving to Florida. So of course I need to be by the beach. But then they realize, guess what? One, I don't go to the beach that often. Two, it's $100,000 more to live by the beach for the exact same home. So yeah, I can do 45 minutes drive to the beach. So we're going to rank these by importance because we have to go through this to be able to really find and drill down that area that's great for you and your family. Step three, don't wait. Right? And this is probably one of the most critical steps of all the steps here. And I know it's going to sound salesy because I'm a real estate agent and you don't really want to be sold and I'm telling you to call right now. But one of the things I figured out over the years of doing this and how many people we've relocated, the earlier, the easier. Like purchasing a home in itself is already a daunting task. Now, let's add the fact that I'm moving from another state. I'm moving from a different country. I don't know the area completely. And this can get stressful real fast. And listen to my logic real quick. One, this makes the process so much simpler, knowing that you have boots on the ground helping you find that perfect home here in Jacksonville. Secondly, you could possibly find deals, right? Find a home sooner and possibly at a lower price. Think about it like this. We're still going up in the market here in Jacksonville, right? It's not as if prices are tumbling nor falling. So let's just say you have 10 months to move to Jacksonville and we find a new construction in a perfect area for you. Buying that property now, getting under contract while that home is being built versus waiting until 2-3 months before you're about to purchase, the price is going to be gravely different on that same property. And thirdly, you get clarity. Instead of wondering about the best neighborhoods that may be around the base or where do you get your best bang from your buck, we can help you zero in on an area that would be great for your family. And honestly, we field calls, text messages, emails every day from people serious just like you that are looking and thinking about moving to Jacksonville. And that's why we suggest you reach out right now. It's only a 30-minute conversation, right? We're going to sit down and we're going to ask you some critical questions. We're going to figure out what you and your family actually need inside of a property. We're going to talk about your no-nos and your yeses inside of a home. You're going to hear me mumble a little bit because I'm going through my mental Rolodex trying to figure out the perfect place to place you or the perfect place that we should be looking at. And then we're gonna laugh. We're gonna laugh because that's what I do. That's how I operate every day. But it helps us plan a route to get you here to Jacksonville and not looking all over the place, right? So you may think you want to be on the south side, but you find out there's a perfect home for you on the far west, or we're going to Middleburg, or we're going to Green Cove Springs, but it allows us to set up a plan that works for you, which leads us to the fourth step. Number 4, setting up the search. Now, after we've had our first initial conversation, what we're gonna do is set you up some search alerts, and it's gonna be based off of your criteria, your budget, and some of the areas that we talked about. If it is new construction, we need a couple more days because we have to make some phone calls and find out properties that would be available when you're ready to move. Now, ultimately, the goal here is to compare what you did in step 2, which is make that list, to what's actually realistic in Jacksonville, Florida. Because at the end of the day, we're gonna ask you 2 questions. The first one being, of course, what is your budget? And if we set up a search for, say, $400,000, I guarantee you if we go to 50 to 60, you'll find more options inside of there. And you have to understand, when we're setting up a search, it's going to be general. And the reason it's general is because we want you to see what it looks like in each price point, not that we're trying to bump up your budget. Secondly, we're going to give you a call and we're going to talk about some of the properties and see if you found something that you were willing to put an offer in on right now. And it's not so we can push you to buy a property right now. It's because if you haven't found anything in the properties that we've sent you, say we sent you 100 properties and you found 0 that you're willing to put an offer in on right now, that means we have to begin to look at our wants, our needs, and probably reevaluate what you want in that property. And unfortunately, we're going to have to use the word compromise. Compromise. I know that's a scary word, but as interest rates are as high as they are today, some things have to be compromised in this process because we want you to ultimately find the home that works for you. So ultimately, we have to look at the full equation and ultimately decide what's most important to you. And that's why that list is so important. So once we've set up the search, we've gotten a chance to look through all of the options, you have a realistic expectations of what you're going to get in Jacksonville, which leads us to the next step. Step 5, planning your trip. Now, generally, there's 2 different customers that are coming to Jacksonville, right? And the first one is in the discovery phase. They have time to actually move to Jacksonville. They know they want to be here, but now we're focusing on area. But they will purchase the property if they find the right one. And usually that's going to be a new construction. Recently, we had a customer come in from Chicago, right? It was funny. We had the call. We sent them over some new construction properties to take a look at. They planned their trip. When they got here, we start looking at models. It's funny thing is, both wife and the husband said, we're not looking to buy right now. We're just looking for properties. And interestingly enough, we walked into one of the model homes and guess what? They knew it was their home, right? So we signed a contract on the dotted line. The only thing we had to do then was find the lot. Generally with this customer, we don't look at pre-existings, and we don't look at it for a couple of reasons. One, we're trying to focus on area, right? Not necessarily a home that you can't purchase that's going to be off the market within the next 30, 45 days. And 2, it's completely unfair, right? It's unfair to the seller who has to now get their hopes up. They have to straighten up their property. They have to lock up their dogs. They have to get them and their family out of the house so we can just walk through it, right? They're not going to get an offer on this property. And it's just not fair if you really think about it, invading their space for something that we're not looking to purchase right now. It's not a good use of your time. So we should be focusing on just 2 things, area and neighborhood. And the second type of buyer, this is a ready buyer. This is one that has a very short window. They generally have a pre-approval in hand and they have maybe a weekend or a week to find a property. Jimmy and Jessica. This is definitely an example of that. They came in on a Friday. They were staying in an Airbnb. They had basically the weekend to find a home, or they were going to be homeless. So Saturday we ran all day. Sunday we ran all day. And by the end of it, we were actually inking a property on a new construction, ready move in. 30 days later, they were due volumes. Now, there is a third type of buyer, and they can't necessarily schedule a trip. So it's someone PCSing from, say, another country, and where we have to do all the legwork for these guys. So we're droning the neighborhoods. We're GoProing the streets, and we're doing very detailed videos of the properties that they're looking to purchase because we are the boots on the ground. We have to make sure that they're getting the perfect home for them and their families. But that is another video for another time that we're actually working on, and I want you to stay tuned for that. If you're in that position, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you can get that video. But after we've went through this and you scheduled your trip, we've went through the properties, we're going to schedule another call to sit down with you guys, and we want to talk about what you've seen, what you liked, what you didn't like, and then firm up that time frame of when you actually moving to Duval County, which leads us to the next step. Step 6, picking out your house. So this is the fun part, right? This is when we actually get to pick out either a new construction or a resale property, and we begin submitting offers on your behalf. have. You don't have to worry. We're the one that's going to hackle. We're the ones that's going to fight with them and finally lock in that property. Now in Florida, typically it's a 30-day journey to get from signing the contract all the way to getting those keys for the house. Now there is some wiggle room that could take place if needed. If you needed 45 days, we could possibly negotiate that for you. But once we're under contract, after the option periods, after inspections that take place, you're all ready to close that deal. It's time to book the movers. Step 7. You better go ahead and schedule those movers. Now, we understand there's going to be a lot of little details that don't necessarily fit into the plan that we're laying out today, but that's where we come into play, right? We're your boots on the ground. We're to make sure everything goes right here in town. And every now and then there are going to be some curveballs that are thrown. And you want a person that's been dealing with this for a while, right? Who knows the ins and outs. This is what we do. Relocation is our game, and we do all the stuff in Jacksonville that you need to take care of. Sometimes it doesn't work perfectly. So we had a customer moving from Cali, and they were still tying up loose ends in California. They couldn't necessarily be here, but we were. So what we did is we were there for the movers. We were there to turn on certain services because we are your boots on the ground. So if there's something that you're looking for, someone to help you in this process as you make that transition to Jacksonville, Florida, it's not a shameless plug. This is a plug. Give us a call, and we always put our number in every video. Give us a call. We would love to talk to you. Text us, email us, so we can come up with the perfect game plan to help your transition move smoothly. So if you're looking at some of the areas in Jacksonville, we're going to put a video right up here. Check that one out. But until next time, be great and choose excellence at everything.